Hare Krishna. So let's warmly welcome this day's Yugakishore Prabhuji to this Sunday feast. So we are so fortunate to have Prabhuji's association. So I have a small introduction about Prabhuji. Prabhuji joined the movement of Krishna consciousness in 1995, deeply attracted to Srila Prabhupada's accurate presentation of our Shastras. He practiced and preached in Dubai for over 25 years, returned to India in 2022 and received mercy from the devotees of Bangalore who have been kind to engage Prabhuji and Mataji in the services. While in Dubai, Prabhuji did a lot of unconventional preaching to Arab expatriates and UAE nationals who have participated and appreciated and have approved our ISKCON programs in public forums like Dubai World Trade Center. So we are so fortunate. We struggle a lot to distribute Bhagavad Gita books in Bangalore, but Prabhuji has done wonderful seva in distributing Bhagavad Gita Bhagavatam in Dubai and Arab countries. So we are so fortunate to hear from Prabhuji here. Thank you. So let's chant one name Hare Krishna Mohammed coming Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram.
Thank you, Dineshwar Prabhu, for a nice introduction. Many of these things I consider that they are a standard for me to follow rather than actually practicing these standards. And he was so humble in saying that you are struggling to distribute Bhagavad Gita. And I think you people are doing a fantastic job. And recently, inspired by the devotees of Bangalore and their wonderful service to Sri Krishna, we had an event where we were cooking for 30,000 people. So it was the first time that we attempted something like this. There is an organization, I do not wish to really, I have not understood their philosophy yet, but somehow or the other, they have been able to bring their members to sattvic food eating without onion and garlic. So we were asked to cook for them, for 30,000 people. It was like a Bandara format. So very difficult to talk about Krishna to all of them, but we did whatever we could to talk to them. Then finally I met a Hare Krishna devotee. Since I was in normal clothes, he didn't recognize me as a established, stamped, initiated devotee. So he was trying to sell me some books. I said, I already have all these books, Prabhu. And he said, at least buy one book. Then he was so persuasive, I said, let's go out and see what's happening, because that was the closing hours of that festival. So we went out, and then we saw some police people standing, the traffic police people, to manage the crowd. So I got inspired to distribute Gitas to them. So I started talking to them in Kannada, and then I told this devotee, please give him. Then he was very pleased, the police person. And then I said, but there are 4 other police people. And then I said, give one to all of them. I made sure that they all know Kannada, and Kannada Bhagavad Gita was distributed to all the police officers. About 5 of them were there. And they thought that maybe I'm having some source in ISKCON where I can get these books free and I'm just distributing it. But when he saw me paying some 1,300 rupees for those for those Kannada Bhagavad Gitas, he was very touched. So he immediately, 3 of them paid their obeisances to me, right on the road, for having received the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his Bhagavad Gita translated by him. So I said, no, don't do this. You are in uniform, doing your Kshatriya duties. Please do not forget your ultimate duty, which is Sanatana Dharma. You will be doing me a great favor if you just read 2 verses of the Bhagavad Gita every day. And there are 700 verses in the Bhagavad Gita, means that non-stop, if you read just 2 verses in Srila Prabhupada's purports, then within a year, 15 days prior to the year end, you would be finishing the entire Bhagavad Gita one reading. So there was one senior police officer, so he was a little stiff. So I tried to loosen him up, and I said, let's give a hug to him. So I gave a hug to that senior police officer, who was also completely moved. So wherever we go, we have to touch the hearts of devotees. That's the most important learning that I got on that day. And almost all of them committed themselves to reading the Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada has given us this wonderful message, and it's our duty to pass on this message to everyone we meet and do this book distribution wherever we can. So it's a glorious festival that the devotees of Bangalore have been involved with, and with great amount of success. So then I immediately thought of doing the same thing in the place where we have a restaurant. So I bought about 10 Bhagavad Gitas from Achyuta Arjun Sakha Prabhu, and we started distributing the Gitas to all the inspectors who come there for making sure that they give us a hard time in getting parking spaces there. Still, with the mercy of the Bhagavad Gita, they do start giving a little bit. If they know that it's our customers, then they roll off the cars. Of course, they get some free prasadam also, once in a way. So, keep doing what you have done, what you are doing, and continue this, and we will receive the huge mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So, that's about the book distribution, and we'll start today's verse by singing Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jai हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रीमद् भागवतम पाठ की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. So, I'm fortunate to come back to Bantur. I think the last time I came was during Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance day. So, thank you so much, Dineshwar Prabhu, for having invited me over and helping me to get the mercy of all the devotees of Bantur as well. And also more fortunate that I'm able to talk a few words from Srimad Bhagavatam. And I was just telling Supreme Mataji that this is like the game changer chapter in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. It directly challenges the traditional belief systems that we have, that Krishna is an avatar of Vishnu, which is the commonly believed, belief perception. So this chapter changes all that and explains how Krishna is actually the source of all incarnations. So it's a wonderful chapter. It also has the it's the most important verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam is there in this chapter, and the entire Bhagavatam has to be Paribhasa Sutra verse. Old age is setting. So, of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like the most important verse, and the entire Bhagavatam has to be studied from the uh, perspective of this verse from this chapter. So we'll see how much we can talk about this verse in particular and a little bit on the entire chapter, which is the third chapter of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll read the verse, the word by word meaning, and the translation, and then the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Yasya vayava samsthanai Yasya vayava samsthanai Kalpito loka vistaraha Tadvai bhagavato rupam Tadvai bhagavato rupam Vishuddham sattvamujitam Vishuddham sattvamujitam Yasya vayava samsthanai Kalpito loka vistaraha Tadvai bhagavato rupam Vishuddham sattvamujitam Yasya whose Avayava bodily expansion Samsthanai situated in Kalpita is imagined Loka planets of inhabitants Vistaraha various Tatvai but that is Bhagavataha of the personality of God Rupam Vishuddham purely Sattvam existence Urjitam excellence Translation It is believed that all the universal planetary systems are situated on the extensive body of the Purusha, but he has nothing to do with the created material ingredients. His body is eternally in spiritual existence par excellence. That was an excellent translation by Srila Prabhupada. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Purport. The conception of the Virat Rupa or the Vishwa Rupa of the Supreme Absolute Truth is especially meant for the neophyte who can hardly think of the transcendental form of the personality of God. To him, a form means something of this material world, and therefore an opposite conception of the Absolute is necessary in the beginning to concentrate the mind on the power extension of the Lord. As stated above, the Lord extends his potency in the form of the Mahat Tattva, which includes all material ingredients. The extension of the power of the Lord and the Lord himself personally are one in one sense, but at the same time the Mahat Tattva is different from the Lord. Therefore, the potency of the Lord and the Lord are simultaneously different and non-different. The conception of the Virat Rupa, especially for the impersonalist, is thus non-different from the eternal form of the Lord. The eternal form of the Lord exists prior to the creation of the Mahatattva, and it is stressed here that the eternal form of the Lord is par excellence, spiritual or transcendental to the modes of material nature. This very same transcendental form of the Lord is manifested by his internal potency, and the formation of his multifarious manifestations of incarnations is always of the same transcendental quality without any touch of the Mahatattva. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Krishna Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Vilesh Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravan Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. So the Mahat Tattva, the total material existence, it is mentioned in this verse, is created by the Supreme Personality of God. However, though he pervades the Mahat Tattva to give life to the Mahat Tattva and brings them into life, he is still not, part of the Mahat Tattva. That's the meaning of this verse. And there are a series of 7 verses in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says how he pervades the entire universe, right? So in the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is called as the most confidential knowledge, in the 4th verse, Krishna says, Maya tadam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matstani sarvabhutani na chaham teshu avastita. This is the verse of 4th chapter of the 9th chapter. So Krishna says here that the entire universe is pervaded by my unmanifested form. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. So, he says that I pervade the entire universe, but I am aloof from them. And then he confirms in the next sloka, this is a series of 7 verses, he confirms in the next sloka that myself is the source of creation, yet not a part of the cosmic manifestation that we see. And then he goes on to say, all created beings rest in me. And he gives an example of the mighty wind, blows everywhere, but rests always in the sky. So that's the comparison he gives. And then at the end of every millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and beginning from another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. So I create them again and again and again. So the manifestation and the annihilation is by my will. In spite of this, I stay neutral to the entire situation. So this can be a difficult thing to conceive if it was not for Srila Prabhupada. So we are very, very fortunate. So Prabhupada gives various examples. Like he gives the example of a high court judge. So he comes to the court and he listens to so many arguments by the lawyers, and he keeps passing judgments without investing emotions on the people who are going to be affected or the people who are going to be jubilant after the case. So he is very neutral to the situation. So that is the example Srila Prabhupada gives. Or let's say the king of a government. Again, an example given by uh, Srila Prabhupada, the king of the government, he's pervading himself everywhere. Everywhere, in every department of the king, everybody is conscious of the fact that he is the king and what is the mission of the king, and they pass so many orders and judgments based on the mission that the king wants to do. So he is pervading every department, but yet he is neutral to the situation. Or the example, another example which Srila Prabhupada gives is about the sun and the sunshine. So as the sunshine enters this room, right? So the sun is outside and we can't really have a vision of the sun. But when there is sunshine coming in, we say the sun has risen, right? So the sunshine is non-different from the sun. So sun, the personality of sun remains aloof from the situation, but he is still he keeps himself aloof to the cosmic manifestation. So here the aspect of Virata Rupa is introduced in this sloka, right? So Virata Rupa is the greatest material manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it is a temporary Rupa of the Lord, and it is not transcendental to the three modes of material nature. So, still, the Virat Rupa is, the beginning of capturing the Rajas and Tamas in all of us. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport how the Virat Rupa is a power extension of the Lord, the greatest material manifestation. In the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first chapter, I think it's the 18th sloka onwards, important, guidelines, instructions, and how to meditate on the Virat Rupa form of the Lord are given. So, when we are in Rajas and Tamas, we are not able to really appreciate the personality of God so much. And but we do get attracted to the opulences of the material world. So it is difficult with Rajas and Tamas to rest the mind on the transcendental form of the Lord. So the mind has to be progressively spiritualized, right? So it is explained in the second canto how we have to meditate limb by limb on the Virat Rupa form of the Lord, but not without the conception of the whole body. Yeah, we can appreciate the universal opulence when we see the earth, the water, the fire, the air, the ether, the demigods, the Rakshasas and the Yavanas, and all these are the material manifestation of the Lord. And we should not lose sight of the whole while we are meditating limb by limb. Yeah, it is explained how when we see even the deities of the Lord, we have to start, having darshan from the lotus feet of the Lord, going upwards and up to the face of the Lord, so that all of us know. But at the same time, we should not lose sight of the whole, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and His most beautiful form. So the mind is constantly agitated by Rajas and Tamas. Yeah, the three modes of material nature are so strong to conquer, right? Rajas is the mode of passion, Tamas is the mode of ignorance, and the Sattva is the mode of goodness. We are all made up of these three modes of material nature and very difficult to conquer them. So Sattva Gun is definitely better than Rajas and Tamas. We all know that. But we have to transcend even the Sattva Gun. Recently, I've gone to Kerala to visit our family deity, and it was it's a huge mercy of the Lord. Somehow, Nrsingadev happens to be our family deity, and normally entire Kerala, we will see that most of them have their uh, family deity as the Bhagavati form, or the Durga form of the Lord. But somehow, by the huge mercy, Nrsingadev happens to be our family deity. So we went there to visit the place, and and then we went to another village in Kerala also, very very Brahminical in culture. Everybody is in Sattvagun. So Sattvagun also sometimes can be dangerous because Sattvagun puts you in the comfort zone that I'm doing everything right. I follow the rules of the game, and then I don't do harm to anyone. I am a vegetarian, and I'm also promoting that Brahminical culture in my entire village. The whole village is actually, most of them are Brahmins with fine Brahminical culture, and even the next generation, they are training them in the same culture. So it gives you a good feel factor, which makes you feel that you're doing everything right and nothing more needs to be done. But Sattvagun also is only a launching pad for spirituality. That is a basic requirement to understand the aspect of spirituality. So one must not get into the comfort zone of the Sattvagun and not think of progressing further from that. Srila Prabhupada gives us this example of, you have to go to a destination, let's say Delhi from Bangalore, and then you go to the airport, you take your boarding pass, everything is set, buy your ticket, go to the airport, take your boarding pass. So you're now on the launching pad, but still, when it's time, you have to board the flight and sit down to go to Delhi. So if you just sit in the boarding hall, whatever, the waiting room, you're not going to reach the destination. So that is Sattvagun. We have to be very conscious that Sattvagun is the basic requirement for going back home, back to Godhead. But we have to transcend even the aspect of Sattvagun. So we should not lose, as we said, the sight of the whole, and the mind is continuously being agitated by Rajas and Tamas. So the Virat root form of the Lord is essential to rectify this situation, because our material conception is that we must see what we believe, right? That's our material conception. So therefore, the Virat root of the form of the Lord, when you have darshan, this rajas and tamas with which we are all full of can be rectified, and it can be pacified. The rajas and tamas can be pacified so that we attain the ultimate goal of life, which is devotional service. At every point of time, please appreciate what Srila Prabhupada has done to all of us. We didn't need the Virat Rupa to, sort of get devotional service of the Lord. He made it so simple for us by explaining and translating Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, so that we can straight away take the fast lift to the top floor of devotional service. Every point, please appreciate Srila Prabhupada in your hearts and minds, what his contribution has been to our lives. Yeah. So attain the devotional service, and then we get the vision of the body of Radha and Krishna after we meditate on the Virat Rupa, because we are not able to conceive of the form of Radha and Krishna straight away. So everything rests on the Lord, we said, which is a very, very difficult conception. So, um, very, very difficult conception, but we are all very, very materially entangled, and it makes us more humble when we realize that the material energy of the Lord is extremely strong. Yeah? And remember that the material energy of the Lord is, His own energy. What does the seventh chapter Shloka number 13 say, Tribir Gunamayir Bhave, Ebihi Sarvamidam Jagat, Mohitam Navijanati, Mamepya Param Avyayam. So, all of us are Mohitam Navijanati, we are deluded by the three modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Yeah? And then the whole world, because of this Mohitam Navijanati, they do not know me to be above the modes of material nature and inexhaustible. So, if that is the difficult situation, how do we transcend this? Krishna quickly explains in the next verse. What is that? Daivihi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya Mam Evaye Prapadyante Maya Ekam Tarantite. So this divine energy, which consists of the three modes of material nature, what is that? Mama Maya Duratyaya, very, very difficult to overcome. And how do you overcome it? Mam Evaye Prapadyante. That is, if Prapadyante is surrender, if you surrender to me, Mam Eva, only to me, exclusively to me, Krishna says. Yeah, then Mayam Itham Tarantite. Then you can easily cross over this material existence and transcend the three modes of material nature. So this statement should give us a clear picture how difficult material energy is to cross. Yeah, it should make us more humble than proud. Sometimes, we have this top philosophy given by Srila Prabhupada, who has explained everything so beautifully. Yeah, we fail to recognize this, and we keep making comments that, oh, he's a gross materialist, Prabhu, he's always doing this, always doing that, and things like that. But we also, as practicing devotees, have to understand how strong this material energy is. And to Dasarath Maharaj is a pure devotee of the Lord, there is no doubt. I mean, he is like father of God. So obviously, for becoming a father of God, Lord Ramchandra, he must have some special devotee qualities, and he must be he is a pure devotee of the Lord, and everything was going right to him. The Dasarath Maharaj had four very powerful sons. He did not have three wives. Do you know anybody how many wives Dasarath Maharaj had? He had 353 wives. The prominent of these wives are, as we all know, Kaushalya, Sumitra, and Kaikeyi. So he had everything going right for him. He was having a great time. Everywhere where he goes around in Ayodhya, everybody go down to him and they surrender to him and surrender to any request made by Dasarath Maharaj. So he was like the most powerful ruler in the universe. He would always keep, when he was meeting uh, the subjects in his kingdom, he would always have a smiling face full of benevolence and full of charitable disposition, Dasarath Maharaj. But still, even Dasarath Maharaj had his quota of nightmares and dreams. He would get dreams and nightmares in the night, and he would just dream of running in the streets of Ayodhya, and then he would find that there's nobody to help him out. Ayodhya is completely deserted, and it was a very haunting feeling for Dasarath Maharaj. Remember, we're talking about a pure devotee of the Lord. I think these are all transcendental pastimes meant for us to understand how difficult material nature is to conquer, because that is the energy of the Supreme Personality of God. And what was haunting Dasarath Maharaj was missing his dear son, Lord Ramchandra so much, who was in Vanavas at that time, and he was thinking in what mood I was to give this wrong promise to Kaikeyi. And then the past activities of Dasarath Maharaj was haunting him, right? And then he also remembered that Shravan Kumar, who was, when Lord Ramchandra had gone to the forest and he heard the sound of some leaves and water, and he thought it must be a deer, and he fired his arrow, and he actually killed a personality called Shravan Kumar, and Shravan Kumar was actually taking his blind parents on a pilgrimage. So the parents were completely dependent on Shravan Kumar, and he killed that son, though he didn't mean to do so. So this was haunting him. How could he have killed a dutiful son like this? So this is from the material perspective. It's a demonstration of the uh, you know anxiety that we all go through, right? We might put up a smiling face, crack a joke here or there, but we are all victims of varying degrees of anxiety. Yeah, yeah. Anxiety, fear is one of the qualities of a conditioned material soul. But of course, in this case, it was not a typical karmic reaction that Dasarath Maharaj was going through. His anxiety was a transcendental anxiety. So we go through so many anxieties, and still we are so obstinate, right? And in the example that we can give for obstinate characteristic, the best example is Duryodhana in Bhagavad Gita, as we've seen. Krishna went there after the game of life and dice was lost and the war was imminent. So Krishna went there as a Shanti Dut. We all know that, right? And when he went there as a Shanti Dut, actually Duryodhana was such a dush miscreant. He wanted to capture Krishna, right? And Krishna, by his huge mercy, showed the Virat Rupa form of the Lord, not just to Duryodhana, but also Duryodhana's blind father, yeah, the Rashtra. Still, Duryodhana could not recognize the greatness and the supremacy of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. Yeah, in fact, when he was asked to, since the war was now not possible to avoid, so both Duryodhana and Arjuna were given the option: either you take my 11 Akshauhinis, which is one Akshav, there are calculations of how many horses are there, how many elephants are there, how many foot soldiers are there, and that's like a huge number. We'll not get into the details, but it's 11 Akshauhinis, which is called as the Narayani Sena on one side, and the other, he said, either you opt for the 11 Akshauhinis, the huge military force, or you take me on your side, but remember, I will not fight the battle. So that means the option was given, and Arjuna chose to opt for having Krishna on his side. Duryodhana was overjoyed, and he said, "Yes, I will choose the 11 Akshauhini, the Narayani Sena on my side. I'm happy to do that." So look at the how materially entangled the personality of Duryodhana is, um, where Duryodhana, accepted the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas Arjuna opted for the internal energy of the Lord, and he wanted Lord Krishna on his side. Yet, Duryodhana, this Narayani Sena belongs to whom? The material energy also belongs to Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yet he could not recognize that he is selecting material energy of the same Lord Sri Krishna. We all have an option in this material world to either take the external energy of the Lord or the internal energy of the Lord. Whatever we do, we cannot survive without the energy of Krishna. Either we select Maya or we select the internal potency of the Lord. So as it's explained in this sloka, the level one of spiritual understanding is when we start appreciating the external energy of the Lord. Yeah. That's why this Virat Rupa form was manifested by the Supreme Personality of God. And the level two of spiritual understanding, through the appreciation of the external energy of the Lord, we can appreciate the internal energy of the Lord. We can also remember uh, Bhishma's instructions when he was sleeping on the bed of arrows and about to leave his body. So he was giving instructions to Yudhishthira, right? And in that he says, the moon, the sun, the earth, the oceans, everything is power of Vasudeva, yeah, the son of Vasudeva, Sri Krishna. In fact, even the Gandharvas, the Yakshakas, the Asuras are all under the control of Sri Krishna. He explains all this to Yudhishthira. And Vasudeva is actually dwelling in the senses, body, and soul of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, you have to remember that Krishna is Ashray Tattva and he is also the Ashrita Tattva. Ashray Tattva means Krishna is the shelter for everything. And Ashrita Tattva is that all living entities are subordinate to the Supreme Personality of God. But Duryodhana could not do this, right? In spite of taking shelter of the material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he took shelter of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without recognizing the shelter giver. Can you imagine that? Yeah. And what does the Bhagavad Gita explain such a person? Shloka number 11 of the 9th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti Mamuda Manushim Tanumashrita Param Bhavam Ajananto Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. Yeah. Often quoted sloka. This is fitting in perfectly into the character of Duryodhana. So, Avajananti Mam Muda, fools deride me, Manushim Tanum Ashrita, when I descend in the human form, right? Duryodhana could not accept the fact that Vishanti Dut, who had come there as Sri Krishna, is in fact the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? And he was thinking of capturing that Supreme Personality of Godhead. So it's a typical Muda mentality of Duryodhana. Manushim Tanumashrita Param Bhavam Ajananto. When you are a Muda or a big fool, as explained in this verse of Bhagavad Gita, they Param Bhavam Ajananto, you do not know that I am the Supreme Being. In that, mentality of foolishness, and Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram, and I am the supreme Lord of all that be. So this can never be understood or conceived if you have a Muda mentality. So Duryodhana here, as we say again, he took shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without recognizing the shelter giver, Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this chapter, as I was discussing even before the class, that this is a game changer chapter in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita itself. So these first three verses are explaining the Purusha expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first of the three verses talks about Karuno Dakashai Vishnu, or is also called as the Mahavishnu. So he's just sleeping within the causal ocean, inhaling and exhaling, and from the pores of the skin of the body, it turns into bubbles as he's breathing, and universes are being, created by the breathing of Vishnu. Just one breath out, and universes are created. And in each universe, there is a Brahma who is in charge of that universe, right? So he just glances upon the Mahat Tattva, and then life is generated, universes are generated from the material ingredients of the Mahat Tattva. So then, so then the second expansion of Sri Vishnu is Garbhodakashai Vishnu, who is a part of the Karanodakashai, who is lying on the causal ocean, and just breathing in, breathing out. One breath out is one lifetime of Brahma, and then one breath in is Brahma is finished, his lifetime is over. And we all know how many billions of years is the lifetime of Brahma. So that's just a one breath and breathing out and breathing in of Mahavishnu. So we have to appreciate the nature and greatness of Mahavishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Garbhodakshai Vishnu is a part of Mahavishnu, and since from Garbhodakshai Vishnu, from his navel, Brahma was created, so officially Garbhodakshai Vishnu becomes the father of Brahma. He enters each and every universe that is created from the breathing in and out of Mahavishnu. He enters each and every universe, right? And then we have Kshirodakshai Vishnu, which is the third expansion of Mahavishnu. So Kshirodakshai Vishnu is the collective Paramatma of all living beings. He is the collective Paramatma. All universes are within this universe, and they're called Hari, right? And so every material object, organic, inorganic, every living beings, there is a Paramatma sitting within the heart of every living being. Who can tell me that sloka? 15. Sarvasya chaham vriti sannivishto matah smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarvair ameyavedyo vedantatrit vedavid cha. Sarvasya chaham vriti sannivishto. He is sitting in all our hearts and in the region of the soul as Paramatma within every living entity. Yeah, I think it's the Upanishads with compare that our heart has got two birds sitting in a tree. Yeah, one bird is eating the fruit, and the other bird is simply witnessing what is going on. Yeah. What's that word called? Upadrashta means witness. So Krishna is sitting as Paramatma, as a witness within the heart of all of us, right? And so this is Kannadigas will understand. We always refer to the Supreme Lord as Hanumanta. Yeah. So Hanumanta is the witness and sanctioning authority for whatever you may do. So depending on what your karma is, as Hanumanta he is sitting as Paramatma and sanctioning or not sanctioning based on your past karma. But many of the times he sanctions so many of our activities without actually wanting to sanction that. But that unfortunately he is sanctioning under pressure because we want to enjoy that and we are very persistent with our desires. Even though they are wrong ones, so Hanumanta says, okay, you take this, yeah, but you will suffer or enjoy the consequences of the decision that you are taking. So we have explained the three forms of Vishnu, and why did we say it's the game-changing chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam? We said that because of the first verse, we will all repeat the first verse, another 5 minutes. Okay. So, Sutavacha Jagrihe Paurusham Rupam Bhagavan Mahat Adibihi Sambutam Shodasha Kalam Adau Loka Sisrikshaya Srila Sukadev Goswami said, in the beginning of the creation, the Lord extended himself in the universal form. Very significant. It says the Lord expanded himself in the three Purusha avatars, right? Which means the Purusha avatars is separate and the Lord is separate. Yeah. So the Lord, the expansions are the Purusha avatars, right? So he starts the chapter by making a game-changing statement, Srila Suta Goswami, in the universal form of the Purusha incarnations and manifested all the ingredients of the material creation. And thus, at first, there was the creation of the 16 principles of material action. This was for the purpose of creating the material universe. So, in this, the punchline is Jagrihe Paurusham Rupam, right? From the Lord came the Purusha avatars of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah? And then let's see how the unlimited forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are manifested. What's the verse? Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Mananta Rupam Adhyam Purana Purusham Nava Yauvanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhaktau Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajam. Ananta Rupam, yeah? Ananta Rupam means unlimited forms of the Lord, out of which a few are explained in this chapter, right? So he talks about the Kumaras, the boar incarnation, the Devarishi Narada's incarnation, Naranarayana Rishi is explained in this chapter, Lord Kapila, then Dattatreya is explained, the personality of Yajna, who is the son of Prajapati, Ruchi and Akuti, Mataji. And then King Rishabha is explained, King Prithu is explained, Matsya, Kurma, Dhanvantari, yeah, Mohini Murti, Narsingha, Vamana, Parshurama, Brigupati, Vyasadeva, Rama, Balarama, and Krishna, and Buddha and Kalki mentioned in the course of his description of this chapter up to 26 verses. And he also says the partial manifestations of myself are the rishis, munis, and the demigods, all partial manifestation. And then he comes to the verse number 28. Yeah, so first he has said, from me, Jagrase, Paurusham, Rupam, right? From me, the Purusha Avatara incarnations are coming. And then in the verse number 28, what does he say? The often quoted famous sloka, Ete Chamsa, Kala Pumsa, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam, Indravi Vyakulam Lokam, Mridayanti Yuge. Yeah, Mridayanti Yuge. What does that mean? Ete Chamsa, Kala Pumsa. Till now, whomever I have mentioned as partial representations of mind, and I have also mentioned that I am Ananta Rupam, but I am mentioning only 26 or 27 of them, and all these are Eche Tamsa Kala Pumsa. Yeah, what does that mean? All the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or the portions of the plenary portion of the Lord, but Lord Shri Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the thieves. Yeah, we all know the three purposes why the Lord incarnates. Paritranaya sadhunam, vinashaya cha dushkritam, dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavati. So this is the Paripasa Shukra verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we have to understand and read the Srimad Bhagavatam being very conscious of this verse which says Ete Chamsa Kalapumsa Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Right? So, what are the meditations that we must have after hearing today's Bhagavatam class? That we must understand that Vishnu is Swansa, or directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we are all Vivin Amsha, yeah, separated energies of the Lord. The Lord is full of the six opulences. What is Parashar Muni's verse? Aishwaryasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yashasha Shriya Jnana Vairagya Yoschaiva Sannam Bhaga Titin Gana. Right? The six opulences that the Lord has, He has full wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. This is the basic nature of the Lord. So the Lord is like, Srila Prabhupada compares it to a gold mine and a small gold bit. We also have some of these qualities, right? Of wealth, fame, strength. Yeah, we may have some of these qualities, but still a very minuscule percent of what the Lord possesses. The Lord possesses all these six opulences in full, right? So the Lord is like a gold mine and we are like a small gold bit. Or another example which Srila Prabhupada gives is the sea water, the ocean is vast. We are just like a drop of water. So a little of power, a little bit of fame, and a little bit of knowledge should not, increase our ahankar, and we have to firmly understand that we are nitya pathas, eternally bound by the modes of material nature. But still, with Prabhupada's grace and our beautiful Parampara's grace, we can become nitya muktas, or eternally liberated souls in this lifetime itself. So that should be our aspiration, with a firm understanding of Ete Chamsa Kalapamsa, Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. We must be first convinced here, because When we are new practitioners, you know, people will tell us that you are inventing something new. You get over all this fad. Don't be part of this. What is that? Cult. Yeah. So these are all things which we have all heard from our family members. So we are not any cult, but we are speaking from the standpoint of the scriptures, from the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is a defining chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam. Let us read this chapter again and again and beg for the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that we may not need the Virat Rupa at all, and we can directly understand with the mercy of Prabhupada and the entire parampara that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That we can do by doing devotional service. Yeah. So normal belief pattern is again, first I must get knowledge, then I will do service. Yeah. So actually the reverse is true. When service is done to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, mercy descends from spiritual master Srila Prabhupada and Krishna, and then Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So let's meditate on this verse and the entire chapter and perfect our lives in this lifetime. So, Hare Krishna. So if there are any questions related to today's topic or even not related to today's topic, we can ask. All your questions will be answered because even if I don't know, I have Prabhu sitting, he can answer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, you said that while remembering the Lord, we should not only remember from the legs, then eyes, and gradually going upwards, but also remember Lord as a whole. So in that remembrance, does Virat Rupa also come, or we are talking about primarily the internal potency of the Lord?
Well, we are very fortunate to be trained by Srila Prabhupada to directly meditate on the forms of Radha and Krishna. So the instruction in this verse is specifically meant for the people who cannot think beyond matter. So for them, this Virat Rupa form, limb by limb meditation is very important. All the people who are impersonalists and those who are non-devotees, when they saw the Virat Rupa form of the Lord, they were very, very impressed. And the Virat Rupa form of the Lord was actually requested by Arjuna to Krishna to manifest that form. But later on, Arjuna was not very happy looking at the Virat Rupa form of the Lord. He requested the Lord, Lord, please forget all this. I want to see your Virat Rupa. Please come back to your Shyam Sundara form, which I love looking at all the time. So that is a pure devotee speaking, whereas it is essential that we understand the Virat Rupa form of the Lord to preach to impersonalists, preach to non-practitioners of Krishna consciousness. So we must have an understanding, but let's meditate on the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna.
Yes, sir. And one more question, bro, that when Lord says that Mam Ekam Sharanam Raja and a lot of other places where Lord says exclusive surrender to me. So a lot of times during preaching, the initial people who have envy in their heart, they always get captivated by this part that why Lord is stressing to surrender only to Him, not other confidential associates. And sometimes it is difficult to give a convincing answer to them. So what can be said like in that kind of situation to make the jiva understand that it is not the envy or not the material nature of the Lord is saying like that, but it is actually speaking the eternal truth.
Yeah. So, yeah, so it's like that Krishna does expect exclusive surrender, not because he's an egoist. It's like if I go and say that I'm the greatest batsman of the world, that is ego. Yeah, but if Sachin goes and says that I am declared as the best batsman in the world, that's not ego, that's a factual statement, right? Or if I say that with my, I have a big tummy like you, but if I, thin hands, if I go around saying that I'm the biggest boxer in the world, people will laugh at me. But Muhammad Ali could go and say, yes, I am the best boxer. That's a statement of fact. Whereas this is imagination, this is ahankar. If I go and say that I am the greatest boxer in the world, I'll be knocked out dead by a beginner in boxing, right? So Krishna making the statement is different from anybody else making the statement. He is making the statement for our benefit and understanding. So yeah, but again, like we said in the beginning, preach with love. Yeah, we have to make an impression on his heart. How did we all come to Krishna consciousness? Not because of the philosophy, right? My own personal journey was somebody said that it was Mahavishnu Swami. Uh, so a Westerner is coming and he's going to give us knowledge on Bhagavad Gita. So that was novelty aspect. So I went for novelty to see what's this, who is this person? Westerner from London, I think UK, comes and going to talk on Bhagavad Gita. So I went there for the novelty aspect. But then what happened when I kept going for the programs, every time I went for the programs, there were people who were kind to me. They invited me, come dance. They invited me, come for prasadam. Made me sit for prasadam. So this was the second thing that happened. Later on, the interest in reading Srila Prabhupada's books happened. And I can confidently say that Prabhupada's presentation of the Vedic philosophy is the most logical, rational explanation and very structured explanation of our philosophy. So that sucked you into the movement much later, but that was not the beginning. So we have to be careful. If people say, yes, I am a devotee of Durga, yes, appreciate that. And say, do you know that Durga is the controller of the material universe and gives us all the facilities? So say things first in his favor and then dovetail them to Krishna consciousness. As devotees, we make a lot of mistakes. In my career in Krishna consciousness, many times I love the role of being a counselor, and there are families where there are issues between the husband and wife. So, uh, the devotee obviously comes for counseling, and most of the times I have found that the non-devotee spouse, whom we call as non-devotee spouse, is right and the devotee is wrong. There was a case where the wife came to us with a problem. I just went on talking to the husband. He's just this fine guy who loves his cricket. Nothing wrong with him, seriously. I had to tell the devotee that you're wrong and he's right. He's just a nice guy. I want to play cricket with him. So we make a lot of mistakes as we gain knowledge, and we're getting the topmost knowledge with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So as we gain knowledge, pride also comes. Brahma says that every time we get knowledge, we should become more humble. Because when we get more knowledge, we will realize how small we are, right? The more knowledge we have, we should realize how small we are and how mighty the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. So we sometimes forget that point. So preach with love, preach to win the hearts of people. Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One question is bothering me in my mind. The story you mentioned about Duryodhana, where he had to make a choice. So, in hindsight, it looks silly, the choice, knowing what we know, right? But in life, every day when we come across situations, we don't know what we don't know, right? So, I'm thinking maybe Duryodhana maybe because of he was in a mode of passion, false ego, maybe. Is there anything else we should watch out in making such life decisions practically in lives?
Yeah. Yeah, we should take decisions based on Shastras, right? So that is the whole purpose. I mean, in our lives, we are faced with so many challenges, right? And sometimes we are at crossroads as to what is right and what is wrong for all of us, right? And that was Arjuna's situation in a situation which is like a crisis situation. He's standing on the damn battlefield and is the greatest warrior humankind has seen ever. And then Krishna agrees to be his chariot driver. And then he says, I don't want to fight, I'll rather die at the hands of my relatives. And I will don't mind leading a life of a beggar. Being the topmost Kshatriya, he was talking like this, right? And then, what's the second chapter, 7th sloka? Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha prichamnitvam dharma sammuda chetaha yat shreyaha shyam nishchitam bruhitam me shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapanna. So I am attacked by Karpanya dosha, very miserly faults. I don't have a larger vision, right? So therefore, Shishyasteham sadhimam tvam prapanna. I request you to accept me as your Shishya and I surrender to you. So explain to me from a spiritual standpoint what I should be doing. So there is a book written by Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, Gita for the CEO. I just acquired that book for myself. So not yet started reading it. So any corporate situation, anything that you may face, Gita gives the answer for that. So we should all take decisions in the light of the Gita. Krishna didn't say you follow apparently the peaceful method. Okay, you don't want to fight, you go away. He calls him Clybium Masma Gamata Partaya. Clybium, he calls him an important guy. And that's a serious thing to be told to a Kshatriya who is proud of his valor and potency. Right? So he said, you're an important chap. And you're coming to these lousy conclusions which will send you to hell. So the whole Bhagavad Gita is about Arjuna must fight this battle, but with a changed consciousness. And what's that consciousness? Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. Duryodhana fought the battle, for him it was a material battle. Arjuna fought the battle, it was a devotional service. Because Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu, at all times, Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha is the principle. Think of me and fight. change of consciousness, not change of activity. This is what was recommended. So change your consciousness and fight this battle. And Krishna will give you the intelligence of what decision is right and what is wrong.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
You, you discussed about material anxiety and spiritual anxiety. So during some sevas, I got some anxiety and that I will do that nicely or not. And I at last I don't enjoy doing the service. That sometimes become burden to me that I am not doing it nicely. So how to manage that stress and be in the right mood?
First thing is that while selecting the seva, there are so many different types of services that are there. Select the service which suits your nature the best. Even in that, there will be anxiety, but it's a very positive thing. Yashoda Maya had a lot of anxiety on taking care of Krishna, but she didn't stop serving, right? That is transcendental anxiety which we should welcome. Yeah? And that should help us to kind of deepen our surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead further. From the material perspective, yes, the anxiety can be resolved by better planning, time management. Yeah. So, I know that I have to come to the class today, and I know that I'm also busy in my business, the restaurant, this and that. So I have to plan my time. I can't keep my preparations for yesterday night, right? And then burn the midnight oil and prepare. So there is a planning involved, right? So 3 days back, I called Dineshwar Prabhu and confirmed the words. And I prepared for a couple of hours, read a few things, so got my concepts right, how you should present the topic. I never give a class, and because I'm a little bit of a muda, I never give a class without a preparation. I've got a small class to give for 15 minutes. I got the notes already done for that too. Yeah. Some devotee is installing Srimad Bhagavatam. Because I'm not in anxiety there because Harikshetra Prabhu will be there. So he can cover up for me. But still, I've prepared what I should speak, though not in notes, but mentally, I've got myself prepared. By better time management. Whenever somebody calls me for a class, I always tell them, Prabhu, give me about 5 days notice. First is, I have to keep myself free on a day where there is a lot of business in my restaurant. We go packed on Saturdays and Sundays. So 5 days notice means I avoid having meetings on that day. I tell them that I'm not available on this day. So whatever I need to do on Saturday and Sunday, do it before, so that there are no constant calls. But still, sometimes emergencies come, there are calls. So better planning will help in getting over the anxiety. And selection of service which suits you. It's closer to your nature. I do daily seva at home, but that's not my core. So Kishori does most of the seva in the home, and I become her assistant. And when we go to Hungary, His Holiness Shivaram Swami Maharaj is like a general there. So he allows me and Kishori to come to the altar, which is not a privilege that many people get. And but when it comes to doing the deity seva, he will just tell me directly, Jugal, you please step out. Kishori will do this. So it's like recognizing the potential of every devotee and doing that service which suits you. But don't object to the service if your yatra leader tells you do something else. No, no, this is not for me. Don't say that. Maybe he has seen your potential to do that kind of seva. So accept it humbly and put your best foot forward.
Prabhuji, thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. I have this doubt on the plenary portion and the portions of the plenary portion. So, whatever I've understood is like plenary portion has got a full potency. A portion of the plenary portion means what will be the potency for it?
This is the one question which has greenballed me, but let me just think about it. Yeah, in the sense that Lord Ram is like when you say plenary portion, it does not mean that Lord Ramchandra is having lesser potency than Krishna. But as per that avatar, he displays 50% of the potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna is Purna Avatar, as we say. So he displays 100% of his potency. So I'm sure that Matsya, Kurma, Varaha would have displayed much lesser than 50% as well. But doesn't make them less than that. And the other smaller plenary portions, I'm sure must be displaying much lesser potential than the others.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks.
Hare Krishna. So again, thanks a lot, Prabhuji, for a wonderful